Hey everyone, Daniel with HRT. Today we want to talk a little bit about civilian legal flashbang options and give you kind of a quick rundown on some potential options you may have and find out maybe what might work for you. First off, the purpose of using a flashbang in a civilian context might be just as a distraction device. Law enforcement and military have been using it for a way to stun or break up the OODA loop, so the observe, orient, decide, and act decision-making process, so that they have time to enter a room, structure, or location and get their first shots off instead of the person who's in the room. So as a civilian, you might want to use it in the same context, or you might want to use it at an airsoft event or a war games event. There's just some uses for them there. Or pranking your friends, maybe, I guess. Probably not recommended, but you could do it, I suppose. So let's dig into a little bit of the actual specifics and some of the different models that we have here on display. So up first is the ALS Tremor Trainer LE. So this utilizes a bore thunder cartridge, which is essentially a 12 gauge cartridge that's shrunk down and does not have any of the actual projectiles inside. This is just going to be a powder mixture that creates a loud noise. These do get you a pretty loud bang compared to some of the other options on the table. You're looking at somewhere around like 170 decibels, and it actually has a pressure wave as well. So it's like 1.2 or 3 PSI that's directed to a certain radius around it, which a lot of these other ones don't have with them just based on their capacity. This works really cool that you just unscrew your bottom here and put in your cartridge, and then you can close this up. It's all nice and threaded. And now the device is safe and can't be activated until you press in this button and rotate this cap, which then activates an inertia firing pin. So when you toss the grenade, it hits the ground, this gets bumped and it sets off a firing pin inside and sets off your round. If you decide you don't need to use the device, you can simply twist this back and you'll see it locks this little bar back in place. And now the device is safe. It's actually safe from a 10-foot drop, according to ALS's website. So this is a pretty handy system you can carry, and these are a lot cheaper than trying to go out and buy $50, $60 flashbangs, and this is reusable for up to 250 times. It's a pretty cool option. So up next is the Tagen FBG, and this is going to be a single bang, 130 decibel at 15 feet rated grenade. This is just a cardboard housing with a delayed and reactor inside of the top. The reactor and delay system is waterproof, so that's a nice feature. And then you just have kind of this is a plastic body. So this is a fairly inexpensive option. And I think these run around 50 bucks a pop. And you do have to get a hazmat certificate for them, but these are fairly easy to find and fairly affordable. Up next is the IWA Mk11 device. This is another single bang device. You can see it's a little bit smaller than the Tagen there. These are 124 decibels at 15 feet. And again, single bang. The delay mechanism and the initiator are also waterproof. And this utilizes a cardboard housing. So this part will break apart, potentially blow out on the bottom. This is a used one. You can kind of get a view in there of that. So this does have a 5-meter radius of potential fragmentation, but that's just going to be cardboard parts. So they are going to recommend that you ensure that you have eye and ear protection, things like that if you're using them. Next we have the IWA Mk11, so that's going to be this unit right here. This is actually a multi-bang, so there are 4 separate sounds that come out of this when it goes off. They're all rated for 124 decibels at 5 feet. And like some of the other offerings, they are going to have a waterproof upper assembly, so your delay activator and your actual initiator, and then again a cardboard housing. So this one also carries the same 5-meter danger area of potential fragmentation, but it gives you 4, which is extra nice and considering just 1. So a little bit more distraction that's going on with the person you might be trying to engage with or the team. And up next is the IWA Mk13. This is actually a thermobaric device. It's going to give you a flash and the concussion, and it's going for about 126 decibels, so it's slightly higher than the other options. Single bang gives you some flash, waterproof housing up top, cardboard on the bottom, and the same 5-meter blast radius of components. Now, all of the IWAs on their website show that they have a 2-second delay, and they do advertise that there is a plus or minus 0.5 second. So keep that in mind if you're going to try and cook a grenade. You may only have 1.5 seconds, or you might have 2.5. So that's a window to pay attention to if you're trying to do that, or just keeping it in mind as you're pulling the pin and tossing it into a room. All of the IWAs have the 3-step pin process, so you do have to rotate and pull the pin. It's not just a straight pull like can be found on some of the Tagen options. And if you are going to get some of the IWA options, you will have to complete a certificate process for a professional pyrotechnics certificate. That is actually free on their website. It's kind of a ATF ruling based on the devices and to try and make some accountability to where they go. It's a simple class you can take on their website. The course and certificate is all going to be free to you. So if you are interested in picking up some of those, you'll need to complete their certificate on their website. Up next, we have the Thunderflash Mark 5. So this is a stick style flash and sound device. This unit has a 6-second delay according to their website. It is a 124 decibels at 5 feet rating as well, so it's going to be on par with these other options here. And this activates by, you can open up this section here, and once your fuse is started, that's when you start your 6-second delay. I have heard, allegedly, if you utilize this Thunderflash, you're required to tell the people in the room that they have been thunderstruck. So keep that in mind. It's an extra step. Some of these have pins you have to rotate and pull. Some have regular pulls. This one has a motto that you have to say. So keep that in mind. This is also a cardboard housing. So this section here at the end will blow off at the when it goes off. And you do have that potential 5-meter frag. So make sure you've got appropriate eye protection and such for that. But up next is the Royal Arms 209 trainer. So this is a flashbang trainer that utilizes the 209 primers that you'll find for like shotguns, muzzleloaders, things like that. It works very similar to the ALS option. So you'll load up your primer inside of this little capsule here, and then you'll screw on your bottom piece. And they're same with the ALS. It's a pretty nice machining, so it's nice and slick. You don't have to really worry about it binding or catching. And then you have your pin system here that you'll rotate and pull out from the unit. Once your spoon comes off, it's now activated, and you can toss this into a room or space, and when it hits the ground, it has this inertia firing pin that will then activate. Much less sound output with this one than you're going to get some of the others. This is going to be more of a training option and less of a maybe potential real use case that you'll find in some of the others. The potential downsides to the inertia systems are that they do have to hit something hard enough to set them off. So while they're fairly safe and they don't have some of the cardboard components and things that might be able to get wet or blow apart off the bottom, you do have something to contend with that you have to make sure you either give it enough arc on the way into the room, or it's not going to land on maybe a couch cushion and not go off. You can change the sensitivity in these, and I believe you can for the ALS systems as well, but it's a little bit more complicated, and it's something that you won't have to deal with a basic pull pin with a delay systems. But if you're looking for a cost-effective solution, or maybe a trainer if you're in an apartment or something and you don't want to blow through super expensive real flashbangs, this is definitely an option. So we've talked about the different options that you might have in a civilian flashbang capacity. Let's talk a little bit about how to get them onto your kit and carry them. So on the table here I have a couple options, one of which is throwing them into maybe like a Maximus setup or one of our other placards that has the elastics. You can change out the elastics, or you could just put one inside of a existing AR slot. Those will work, as will these larger ones as well. You can put them into the front pouch and then just zip that up if you're looking for that. And then we can also put some of them into the utility pouch that we already have on the website if these are the smaller options. So some of the IWA ones will fit in there, but maybe this one's not going to close, and the ALS one's going to be a little bit too thick for that. We do have a dedicated flashbang pouch we're working on, so you'll be able to check out the website soon and see that. It'll be on the way. That'll give you a little bit more flexibility and carry all of these, not just having to like kind of pick and choose a little bit. Now, my personal favorites here on the table, in my experience so far, is I really like the ALS one. I really haven't seen it not do its job, and it also gives you a higher rating with some of these Bore Thunder options than these do. So you'll get a little bit more bang for your buck. The downside to the ALS ones is you, as a regular citizen, can't go buy one, but you can find them secondhand or maybe from certain vendors. So you do have to do a little bit of digging to find them, but I think it's worth it because you get to reuse them and you can get these Bore Thunder things pretty cheap compared to buying 50, 60 bucks for one of these. This also doesn't require any permits because there's nothing on here that's considered a destructive device or an explosive, and you're using just regular 12-gauge Bore Thunder things, which are pretty readily available. So I really like this one. Downside's going to be 250 uses. So if you use it every day, you're going to burn it out in 1 year. That's fairly unlikely, though. Up next for me would probably be the Flashbang system or even the Thermal Mark. They sound great, but the Flashbang is pretty cool. It's just kind of a little extra coolness factor. The Tagen ones for me have been pretty light. The unit is much lighter than the IWA ones. So I've found that tossing those into a room or a space, you don't get the same kind of throw you would with a normal one. So if you're using it more of a trainer, it's not going to do the same job because you're going to expect a different weight, a different toss distance and such. More impacted by wind and variables like that, depending on where you are. If you're indoors, it's not a problem. I don't have any experience with this one, but we will make sure we have some content of that in part of this video, so you'll see some of that going off, and I'll give some feedback there as well. So those are some of the highlights. Those are some things that I like. You've seen how to carry them. Check them out. Look at some of the different places. Check out Tagen, IWA, ALS if you're able to get from them, and Royal Arms, and of course the Thunderflash. I'm sorry. So check all those out. If you get any of the IWAs, just check out their free certificate class and get some time with those and use those and exercise your rights. So check us out on HRT Tactical Gear. If you need some of these pouches, we can definitely get you hooked up with that, and we'll see you on the range.